After this fight, boxing legends didn't just praise Naoya Inoue, they called him evil. The power, the precision, the destruction. This was the moment the world realized he was something different. Naoya Inoue, known globally as the Monster, is boxing. A man whose skill, timing, power, and icy calm inside the ring have made legends call him evil in the best possible way. Inoue may look quiet, polite, and almost gentle outside the ring, but once the bell rings, he becomes something else entirely. Relentless, destructive, and terrifyingly precise. Long before he unified multiple weight classes and became the face of Japanese boxing, he was just a young contender breaking into divisions that had long been dominated by Filipinos and Mexicans. For decades, smaller weight classes belonged to nations famous for producing high-volume, pressure-heavy fighters with incredible toughness. But Inoue shattered this landscape with violence so clean and clinical that the boxing world could no longer deny the arrival of a new kind of champion. And his rise was built through a string of frightening performances that showed he was not simply talented, he was built differently, a once-in-a-generation athlete who dismantled world-class opponents as if they were sparring partners. One of his earliest and most important tests came against Yuki Sano, a veteran Japanese champion who represented the old guard. Inoue, still extremely young and only in his third professional fight, knew he needed to make a statement, and he did it with terrifying brilliance. What separated Inoue, even at that early stage, was the rhythm in his punches. He feinted subtly, drawing reactions from Sano, and then fired combinations that flowed with perfect timing. In one sequence, he sold a left body shot that forced Sano to drop his elbow, then instantly brought the punch upstairs, landing a brutal left hook that disconnected Sano's balance and made his legs betray him. Sano wobbled across the ring like someone suddenly hit with a shockwave. Yet even after nearly being finished, the veteran survived long enough to push the young monster into deeper rounds. But Inoue made those rounds painful. He discovered early in the fight that he had injured his right fist after throwing a hard straight right into the top of Sano's head. Instead of backing down, he simply switched strategy and fought nearly the entire fight with only his left hand. And somehow, he still dominated. He doubled and tripled his left hook, landing it so often that the crowd winced every time it connected. He mixed rhythm, speed, and placement so effectively that Sano could not tell where the next punch was coming from. As the later rounds approached, Sano's face was covered in blood that dripped into his eyes, and it became clear he was no longer fighting to win, he was fighting to stay conscious. Inoue unleashed a brutal flurry in the 10th round, battering Sano with relentless combinations until the referee stepped in and stopped the punishment. Just like that, a rookie became the Japanese champion and announced the arrival of a dangerous new force. With national attention behind him, Inoue set his sights on the world stage. But Japanese fighters have historically struggled outside of the lower divisions because of physical disadvantages. They were often shorter, smaller framed, and lacked the natural size and reach of fighters from Mexico, the Philippines, or South America. These nations produced monsters of their own, fighters with legendary chins, insane cardio, and explosive power. But Inoue was different. He wasn't just talented, he was a complete package. And after 5 explosive victories, he earned the opportunity to fight for a world title in only his 6th bout. That alone was unheard of. But even crazier was the opponent he chose, Adrian El Confessor Hernandez, the WBC flyweight world champion from Mexico, known for his dangerous punching power and his experience at the highest level. Most fighters would have eased into world championship bouts. Inoue jumped straight into the deep end, facing the best fighter in the division without hesitation. The fight in Japan was electric. Inoue entered the ring with the calm look that would become his trademark, while Hernandez walked in confident and ready to bully the younger man. But everything changed the moment the first punches were exchanged. Inoue came out punching like he owned the ring. His right hand snapped Hernandez's head back violently, and his body shot seemed to melt the Mexican's core. The Japanese crowd roared every time Inoue landed something clean. Hernandez, tough and proud, tried to fire back, but he couldn't match Inoue's speed or timing. Inoue's footwork, even in his earliest championship fights, was almost supernatural. He slid out of danger without wasting movement, then countered with punches Hernandez never saw coming. A clean left hook sent the champion stumbling, and Inoue's pressure only intensified. As the rounds went on, the punishment accumulated. Inoue was breaking Hernandez's body down, punch by punch. By round 6, Inoue crushed him with a massive right hand that sent him to the canvas, and the referee waved it off. Inoue had become a world champion in just 6 fights and immediately broke into the top 10 pound-for-pound rankings. Japanese boxing had a new hero. But Inoue wasn't done rewriting history. He continued dominating the division, and one of his most violent showcases came against Karun Jarupianlur, a Thai fighter known for having a seemingly unbreakable chin. Karun was tough, aggressive, and on a massive win streak with 40 victories to his name. He came forward like a tank, believing he could absorb Inoue's punches the way he had absorbed dozens of others throughout his career. But Inoue met him with a storm of sharp counters and brutal bodywork. Karun charged recklessly, only to walk face first into Inoue's shots. The Thai fighter tried to stand his ground, but Inoue's power was simply too much. Midway through the fight, every body shot landed like a hammer, smashing into Karun's ribs, and the Thai warrior began to fade. Inoue kept ramping up the pressure, ripping hooks into Karun's liver until the pain forced him into retreat. Eventually, in the 10th round, a pair of devastating right hands sent Karun to the canvas. He got up once, but the referee saw enough and stopped the fight. Even in victory, Inoue wasn't satisfied. His perfectionism was already legendary. Then came another frightening performance against Yoan Boyo, a taller, much bigger fighter who had not lost a fight in more than a decade. His undefeated run created the illusion that he could trouble Inoue. Instead, the Japanese champion solved him in minutes. Inoue opened the fight by targeting the body with brutal left hooks, and within moments he landed a perfectly timed shot that froze Boyo before sending him collapsing to the canvas. Saved by the bell, Boyo returned for another round, but the beating continued. Inoue shredded his body with merciless combinations until Boyo could no longer stand. The referee stepped in, ending the destruction. The fight lasted barely 4 minutes, but proved how easily Inoue exposed undefeated fighters. And then came Iran Dep Dapasri, a man who had never been knocked down, never bled, and believed he could take anything Inoue threw. That confidence evaporated almost immediately. Inoue landed combinations at will, mixing jabs, hooks, and body shots with terrifying precision. Even Dep's iron body couldn't withstand Inoue's power forever. Blood poured from his face, and by mid-fight, he was running around the ring in desperation. Inoue hunted him with cold focus and eventually dropped him for the first time in his career. The referee, seeing the danger, stopped the fight. Before long, even cocky opponents tried to test Inoue, including Warito Pechiram Peñas, who showboated early and mocked Inoue mid-fight. Inoue responded by destroying him with a brutal 2-round demolition, so violent that even fans winced. Warito Peñas entered the ring with swagger, confidence, and bold trash talk that he believed would rattle Inoue. He smirked, bounced around, and even showboated in the opening seconds, trying to lure Inoue into reckless exchanges. But instead of becoming emotional, Inoue watched him with cold patience, studying him like prey. And within moments, the punishment began. Inoue snapped Peñas's head back with a stiff jab, then immediately followed with a left hook to the body that made him wince. The Thai fighter tried to backpedal, but Inoue walked him down with terrifying calm. Another combination landed. Jab, right hand, left hook. And Peñas felt the difference between a confident fighter and a master. Inoue destroyed him so quickly that by the time the second round ended, Peñas looked like a man who regretted every word he had said before the fight. A vicious uppercut ended the contest, sending Peñas collapsing to the canvas. He lay on the floor staring at the lights, unable to stand, while Inoue simply turned away and walked to his corner. It was a violent warning to anyone foolish enough to mock him. But even that wasn't the performance that made legends call Inoue evil. That moment came against Kohei Kono, another Japanese warrior, a former 2-time world champion, and one of the toughest men in the division. Kono entered the fight with tremendous respect in Japan. He was durable, gritty, and had survived wars against world-class opponents many believed were more dangerous than Inoue. Some even thought Kono's toughness and experience could push Inoue into deep rounds. But what happened instead shocked everyone. Inoue walked into the ring like a man preparing for a surgery, not a fight. His expression was emotionless. And when the bell rang, he unleashed one of the most clinical and violent performances of his career. His jab landed like a piston, snapping Kono's head back with frightening force. His right hand landed with perfect placement, sending shockwaves through Kono's body. His punches were so clean, so sharp, and so accurate, that the commentators repeatedly gasped at the sound. Kono tried to fight back with his signature pressure, throwing combinations and stepping forward bravely, but Inoue dismantled him instantly. He countered every punch with something harder. He slammed hooks into Kono's ribs. He ripped uppercuts through the guard. He shifted angles beautifully, making Kono miss by inches before punishing him with precise counters. The fight turned into a one-sided masterclass. Inoue's power was on full display. A brutal right hand sent Kono to the canvas in the 6th round. Kono rose, tried to compose himself, but looked drained and disoriented. Still, his fighting spirit forced him to continue, and Inoue showed no mercy. He stalked Kono, stepped forward with a chilling calmness, and delivered a finishing sequence so violent and so clean that even boxing legends watching ringside stood up in disbelief. A final right hand smashed into Kono's jaw, sending him crashing to the floor. The referee waved it off instantly. Kono lay motionless, while Inoue walked to a neutral corner without celebration, without emotion, and without acknowledgement of what he had just done. It was the kind of performance that made fans say he didn't look human. It was the night people started calling him evil, because nobody expected such cold brutality from a fighter who looked so polite outside the ring. But the moment that truly cemented Inoue as something beyond ordinary came when he moved up in weight to challenge Omar Narvaez, a legend with a granite chin who had never been dropped, never been stopped, and had dominated his weight class for years. The boxing world believed Narvaez's experience and defense would give Inoue problems. Instead, Inoue embarrassed him. Narvaez's legendary defense failed instantly. Inoue dropped him 4 times in 2 rounds, leaving the veteran humiliated and unable to continue. Watching a legend fold so quickly under Inoue's power stunned fans worldwide. Even Mexican commentators, proud of their country's rich boxing history, began calling Inoue the most dangerous Japanese fighter ever. From there, Inoue continued leveling up, delivering highlight after highlight. Inoue obliterated Juan Carlos Payano in 1 round with a perfect right hand that became one of the most viral knockouts in boxing history. He destroyed Emmanuel Rodriguez with 3 brutal knockdowns in 1 round. He turned Jason Maloney into a meme with one of the hardest right-hand knockouts fans had ever seen. Each performance increased his aura. Each fight made legends praise him. Fighters like Nonito Donaire, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Jorge Linares, and even Manny Pacquiao began acknowledging his greatness. Mike Tyson admired his technique. Roy Jones Jr. said Inoue was the closest thing to perfection in modern boxing. Even Floyd Mayweather, known for rarely praising anyone, said Inoue was a very, very special fighter. But through all this glory, what stood out most wasn't just the violence. It was the way Inoue remained calm before, during, and after his destruction. He never trash-talked, never showboated, never insulted opponents. He simply fought, and his fighting spoke louder than any words ever could. When training footage of Inoue leaked, showing him knocking down sparring partners with body shots, legends shook their heads in disbelief. When people realized he was destroying world champions while weighing less than 120 pounds, fans around the world suddenly understood the truth. Skill does not need size. Timing beats strength. Precision beats chaos. Intelligence beats volume. And Inoue had all of these in terrifying proportions. As he climbed division after division, fans started calling him something more than a champion. They called him a phenomenon, a once-in-a-lifetime fighter who did everything with surgical accuracy. A man whose knockouts were violent enough to terrify even other professionals. A fighter so technically sound that legends of the past looked at him and saw shades of themselves. A fighter so cold and emotionless in his dominance that commentators described him as smiling on the outside, evil on the inside. And that is the story of how Naoya Inoue earned the reputation that made legends call him evil. Not because he is malicious or cruel, but because inside the ring, he fights with a level of calm, brutality, and perfection that feels almost supernatural. Opponents enter believing they have a chance. They leave humbled, broken, and questioning everything. Inoue does not rely on size. He does not rely on trash talk. He does not rely on intimidation. He relies on skill delivered with terrifying precision. And as long as he continues stepping into the ring with that same cold expression and that same destructive ability, one truth remains. Naoya Inoue is not just a champion. He is a phenomenon, a master, a monster, and to many or something far more frightening,